Good evening. Today I'm going to be giving you a speech on the importance of good footwear while running. When it comes to purchasing athletic equipment for any sport, running is by far the cheapest because all you need to do is purchase a pair of shoes. It's not like football where you have to buy pads and a helmet, or lacrosse where you have to buy a net. Um, all you need is a good pair of shoes and a good surface to run on. All of us at some point in our lives have had to run for some reason or the other, whether that's in high school gym class or if you did a sport through high school or even at the collegiate level, you've at some point have had to run. And you, if you have run, you understand that you need to have the proper type of shoes for that specific event. You may have noticed that the quality of shoes largely impacts your abilities while you're running. So if you're playing basketball, those types of shoes aren't necessarily going to be good for you. If you're playing football, you need specific cleats for that. So today what we're going to talk about are 5 different types of running shoes, how to prevent injury while running, and then choosing the right shoes for you based on the event that you're going to be running in. So let's begin. So like I said, there's 5 different types of running shoes. You have lightweight running shoes, trail running shoes, stability running shoes, motion controlled, and cushion running shoes. So lightweight running shoes are the shoes you're typically going to find in a track surface or in a track environment. They're very lightweight. They have minimal cushion, but you're not running really long distances. So there's less shock absorption, so they're not really designed or tailored for long distances, but they're going to allow you to run faster. These are typically found in racing flats or running spikes that give you traction. But like I said, there's less foam and less cushioning under the foot, and it's going to give you a more natural and more dynamic foot movement, but at the risk of less shock absorption. The second type of shoes are trail running shoes, which I have an example of here. They're designed for rougher terrain, slicker terrain. You're going to need more tread, a little bit more support in the ankle. So with these shoes, they have a pretty aggressive tread body. They come in many different types, from 0 millimeter drop all the way up to 6 or 8 millimeter drop. All that is just the height of your heel off of the ground. This one specifically actually has a rock plate built in, so if you hit a rock, it's not going to jab through and hit you in the middle of your foot. The third type are stability shoes. These are meant for runners who have a normal arch. And they have a mix of midsole cushioning and support, so that's just your standard running shoe for running on the road. Motion controlled shoes are designed for runners who overpronate or have low arches. So overpronation is when you're running, the inside of your foot, as you're running, your foot's going to tend to move towards the middle, which is going to put more stress on your arch. So they make shoes that are designed to kind of counteract that. They're a little bit more rigid, and they have a wider sole, and they're ideal for people who are a little bit heavier due to their high support and stability. And then the fifth type of shoe is a cushion shoe. They're a lot more cushion. They're ideal for those with high arches and people who over-supinate. So supination is the opposite of pronation. Like I said, pronation, your foot goes to the inside. Supination is where you land on the outside of your foot, or the blade of your foot, as you're running. So cushion shoes also help counteract running in a supinated form. So now that we know some basic types of shoes that are out there for running, we're going to talk about how these shoes can help prevent injury. So according to the American College of Sports Medicine, midsole cushioning and arch support can prevent injuries from overuse, such as tendonitis, plantar fasciitis, stress fractures, and joint pain. Outsole protection is the main component of any shoe. It's just the construction of the shoe that protects your foot from the surface that you're running on. So it's going to protect you from rocks, from roots. If there's glass in the road that you're running on, it's just going to protect your foot from being injured in that way. And also, in the construction of the shoe, you have more cushioning, which is common for helping with runners' injuries. And one good thing to know is that a foot injury can be easily prevented by understanding your limits and the way that your foot moves in motion, so you know what type of shoe you need to buy. So now that we understand how to better prevent injury, you need to know what shoe is best for you. So you need to figure out what kind of event you're going to be running in, what kind of terrain you're going to be running in. That's going to decide what shoe you need to do, or what shoe you need to buy. because every activity requires a different shoe. This can easily be accomplished by just recognizing what terrain you're on. If you're going to run on the trail, you need a trail shoe. If you're going to be running on the road, you might want to go with a stability shoe or a cushion shoe. And identify the hazards that you might encounter while running in these environments. You also need to know how your foot moves. This is not something that you can necessarily figure out on your own. It's best to go to an expert who is well versed in runner's injuries or runner dynamics, and they can watch you run or put you on a treadmill and see if you pronate or supinate, if you heel strike, or your foot, the first part of your foot that comes in contact with the ground is your heel, or if you run more on your forefoot, which is a more natural type of running. So they'll help pair you up with the right pair of shoes for however your feet operate. You also you really want to be cautious of barefoot running. Naturally, we're all meant to run barefoot, but due to the running industry, they've created a need for people to run in shoes that wasn't prior before about the 1960s, 70s, and 80s era when Nike started developing the running shoe. There's actually a tribe down in Mexico called the Tarahumara tribe, and all they do is run in barefoot. They run barefoot or in custom-made sandals that is basically just the rubber from a tire that's laced to their feet just to protect them from sagebrush or rocks or anything like that. So your feet are naturally meant to run barefoot, but if you don't run barefoot normally, I don't recommend trying it right away. You need to build up the muscles in your feet and your ankles before you do so. According to Martin Dugard's book, To Be a Runner, our feet are unfairly weak due to the footwear industry. So before you decide to run barefoot, go for short distances, build up those muscles, and then you can move on to running further distances barefoot. So, in conclusion, anybody who intends to run or has run in the past recognizes that it's a good idea to understand the importance of a good solid pair of shoes. As a runner myself, I've seen the benefits of good footwear, and I've seen the hazards of choosing not good shoes to wear while you run. A solid pair of running shoes will allow your feet to remain protected from the elements, and it'll provide you a level of comfort that'll give you the ability to run relatively pain-free for many miles, depending on your training level. So what we talked about were the 5 different types of running shoes, how to prevent injury, and choosing the right shoes. So before you step out on your next run, make sure you have the right footwear for you.